Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on a firearm that I've kind of already reviewed, however it was in a different configuration. Today we are taking a look at the CZ P-01. Now on my channel I have done a range report on the CZ P-01 Tactical. So it had the threaded barrel and the suppressor height sights. And I asked my fans, and I say fans because if they're subscribed over on the Texas Gun Vault too, they must really like the Texas Gun Vault. Well, I asked them, should I review this because it's so similar? And for the most part, they all said yes. So here we are doing a range report on this awesome gun, which is a compact version of the CZ75. So before I tell you about the things I like and don't like and compare it to a full-size CZ75, I want to thank the people that always make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this awesome CZ pistol, and that is my good friend and local subscriber named Jack. Jack, thank you once again for lending an awesome gun to the channel. I want to thank my Patreons as always, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here. As you guys know, I'm a YouTube bad boy, and not everything I create here on YouTube is monetizable, and they go a long way in helping me keep this content coming. And as always, my primary sponsor for every range report that I make, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And I know if you like CZ pistols like this P-01, well, I know that you may want to change out these grips, because I can tell you this is the stock grips on this P-01 and it has that rubberized finish. CZ, in my opinion, makes some awesome pistols and firearms. However, their grips are okay, and a lot of people want to change them out. And CZ pistols are fine firearms, and you want fine grips to go with those firearms. Well, Brownworks is the company for you. Mark over there is an artist, he's a craftsman. In fact, CZ pistols are some of his specialties. He can make grips like nobody else, putting on custom logos, custom engravings, finishing them a number of different ways in different colors and different textures, and even creating them out of very unique materials. So if you like CZ pistols and are looking for a set of awesome grips for a gun just like this, please go over and check out Brownworks. I'm going to put a link in the description below, as well as a discount code for 10% off your first order. I want you guys to go over there, check out and see what he has. Thank him for supporting me here at the Texas Gun Vault. If you don't find what you're looking for, make sure to contact Mark and tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. Alright, so let's talk about this exact gun we are reviewing today. Once again, it is the CZ75 P-01. So this is the compact version of the CZ75. Think of it kind of like the Glock 19 to the Glock 17. So a lot of people like guns in this particular size, and this model of course is the base model. I'm gonna say it's the base model because it doesn't have the threaded barrels, it has the standard sights, but it does have the Omega trigger, one of the best upgrades to the CZ platform ever, which allows you to go between the decocker and the safety. And this particular example has the decocker installed. So that's what this is. Let's go ahead and talk about the things that I like and don't like. And for the most part, this list is going to be the exact same as almost every CZ pistol that I review. Number one, it's a CZ, and CZ is an amazing firearms company. They build some awesome guns. In fact, I've always mentioned, I will fully admit, this is a company that I did not appreciate in my early firearms adventure. But now that I've gotten to shoot many of them, I really appreciate what they build and what they design. I'm also a big fan, as I mentioned, of that Omega trigger, and you can always tell if it has the Omega trigger because they put the Omega right there on the side of the slide, and that tells you it has that upgraded trigger where you can go between the safety and the decocker. Another thing that I really like about the CZ75 series of guns, which borrows a lot from the Browning High Power, is the fact that they put on a beaver tail on many of their guns. Now, the CZ75s are a real pleasure to shoot as compared for me when it comes to the traditional Browning High Powers, because I always get that hammer bite, and these beaver tails really do a good job in preventing that. Now let's talk about a couple things about this gun that I don't like. And once again, it's almost the same as every CZ that I shoot. I love the fact that these guns have the inverted rails, so instead of the rails coming around the frame, they're inside, which gives you a kind of an interesting feel and a different bore axis. However, that doesn't give you a lot of room for these cocking serrations. Yeah, it's kind of narrow, and I find that these guns can be a little bit difficult to rack. Yeah. Another thing about this compact version of the CZs that I don't like is the grip length. Now, I mentioned before, this is kind of like a Glock 19 compared to a Glock 17. Now, when you hold a Glock 17, you can get all of your fingers on that grip. When you hold a Glock 19, you pretty much can as well, unless your hands are absolutely gigantic. But for the most part, nobody has trouble with that. Now, here is my full-size CZ75B Omega, obviously tactical and in the urban gray. I have no problem getting all three of my fingers on that frame. However, when it comes to the compact CZs, whether it be the P-01 or the P-07, which is the polymer version of this, I kind of feel like, especially if you don't have the magazine inserted, this grip needs to be just about half of a pinky longer. It's definitely shorter than that of a Glock 19, and I can't always get all of my fingers on that grip comfortably. And I actually think this causes a problem when it comes to the gun's accuracy for me. Not that the gun is inherently inaccurate, it just doesn't fit my hands very well. And I do have kind of larger hands. Not gigantic hands, but enough where my pinky is kind of falling off the grip of this gun. It's in between being able to get all three on there and having to hold it like a Glock 26 with only 2 fingers. And the last thing I mentioned is something I kind of talked about when I did my little ad read for Brownworks, is that I'm not a big fan of CZ stock grips, especially the rubberized ones. I always say that these feel like 1980s car steering wheels. I don't know if you've driven a car from the 1980s anytime recently, but they all have this rubberized grip to them. Yeah, they're kind of sticky, but I find that they kind of wear out and they just don't feel as comfortable. They're mushy to me. And that's one of the reasons why I think getting a nicer set of upgraded grips for these guns is a good way to go. And also get rid of these screws. This is the only company I really ever see using a Phillips driver instead of a regular or an Allen wrench, and I find that is just not very attractive. So honestly, going with a set of Brownworks grips would really add a lot, not only to the aesthetics of this gun, but to me, the way that it feels. All right, so that's the things that I don't like and like about this particular gun. I've talked a lot about it, so let's go ahead and get it to the range. So I'm gonna set the target like I always do at 7 yards, load up one of these magazines, and by the way, it holds 15 rounds, same as the Glock 19, and in a little bit shorter package. Even though that grip is shorter, it still holds the same capacity. I'm gonna see how this gun shoots, how accurate it is for me, what the recoil is like, and how this Omega trigger performs. So let's get this magazine loaded up and let's get to the range. And as expected, the gun shot really good. I think my grouping is okay for a compact firearm. However, the group is a little bit to the left. And once again, I think that has something to do with the grip size. For me, just having that pinky kind of hanging over the side, it affects my point of aim. Now, I am not the world's greatest shot. And many times when I complain about something that has to do with the size of my hands or how something conforms to my body, many people in the comment section will say, "You got that wrong. It works great for me. You must be an idiot." Please remember that you are a different person than I am, and I always review these guns from my personal perspective. I have a certain size hand. It might be different than yours. I am a certain height. I'm a certain build that you might not be. So when I say, hey, for me it doesn't fit my hands, but it may fit your hands great and you not have any trouble with it, try not to criticize me and say I got it wrong. I'm just reviewing this from my personal perspective. But if you have those larger hands, this might be a little bit of an issue. The gun obviously is accurate and well built. I just shoot it a little bit to the left. It feels good, and in single action, this Omega trigger is awesome. All right, so now we're gonna double the distance. We're gonna shoot another 15 rounds through this thing at about 15 yards. I'm gonna go for the head on this IDPA target and see what happens to this group, and I'm gonna take my time now that I know what to expect. So let's see how I do. And once again, it's a pretty darn group. It's still just a little bit to the left. It's definitely usable for a duty handgun for me. I think it also has something to do with the length of pull. When I'm shooting this in single action, that trigger is kind of far back and the length of pull is very short. And I might be putting a little bit too much of my index finger on the trigger. Therefore, I'm moving the gun a little bit to the left when I shoot it. So it's more me than it is the gun, but the gun obviously is pretty darn accurate. The sights are easily seen, and let me go ahead and show you these sights. It is a 3-dot system. There is the back, and let's see if we can get that front dot in focus. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. But yeah, it's a single dot there in the front, but still a pretty darn good group, and I'm really happy with it. All right, so we're gonna go out to a further distance now, and now I'm going to bench rest this or shoot it from a barrier. Essentially, I'm gonna take my range bags, put them in front of me, and see what happens when I go all the way out to 25 yards and see what happens to this group and see if I can still shoot it pretty accurately. So here we go with the barrier test or the bench rest test, and let's test my marksmanship and how accurate this pistol is. And once again, I'm still shooting it a little bit to the left. So it just shoots to the left for me, but the group is okay. Not as good as I was hoping. I definitely shoot other pistols better, but this is okay, especially for duty use or practical use. All right, so the next thing I want to do is test out the double action of this trigger, being that this is in a deconker mode. Essentially, for the most part, if you're going to carry this, you're going to have that double action pull on the first shot. But I have noticed on some of these Omega triggers, these trigger pulls can be kind of long and kind of heavy. So I'm going to decock the hammer after every shot and just see what my group would be at a shorter distance now in double action. See how it affects my grouping. So here we go, double action, and let's test this thing out.
I got that right here, right? Yeah. Yeah, like right on the blue. Right. Right? It should be
inch below, like, so like, if you're right in here,
not too bad.
yeah. So you're not too bad left and right.
Yeah.
You may do like, maybe a click right,
Yeah.
but then like 4 down and see where that goes.
And now in double action, it doesn't seem like I'm shooting as far to the left, but I am shooting a little bit low. Yes, I know you guys can criticize me and say I'm not a good shot. That is fair. Remember, I am just an average gun guy. I do not play myself off as some type of competitive shooter or a marksman like Hickok 45 or 22 Plinkster. I'm just an average gun guy. But I can tell you this trigger is longer and heavier than I really would want. I kind of like double action pulls that are smooth and consistent, but not that long. It's not bad. I think it definitely would work as a safety if you're going to run this with the decocker, because there's no way you're going to unintentionally pull that trigger without wanting to pull it. It really is a good safety, but that first pull is kind of long and kind of heavy. Single action though is really nice. All right, I want to do one more test before I give my wife a chance to shoot this, and this is going to be the quick magazine change. I want to see how fast I can shoot this pistol and use it in a competitive or defensive way, where I'm going to drop this magazine, get another magazine, and sort of get the gun back in action. Now, sometimes in the past, when it comes to these CZ pistols, because the cocking serrations are so small, I sometimes struggle with that. Sometimes I don't. So let's just see how fast I can shoot this thing and get it back into action. And as I told you, I can shoot this single action trigger pretty fast. The reset is really short. Now, when it came to my grouping there, I was pretty much just point shooting and going as fast as I possibly could. Now, that was a horrible group, but every shot was on target at 7 yards. So I'm going to take that for a win. So if I had to use this in a defensive use, I think I'd be okay with it. You know, so the grouping was pretty good for what I needed. All right, there's one more thing I'm going to do is give my wife Becky a chance to shoot this. She always loves shooting every firearm that comes through the Texas Gun Vault. I like to get her perspective because she's a completely different type of shooter than I am. She has smaller hands and may absolutely love this. So let me load up one more magazine, give her a shot, get her thoughts and opinions, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts. And she shot it pretty good, and she said that she liked it. I think with her smaller hands, this grip is great. It's one of the reasons why I say if you're looking at a P-01 or a P-07, you might enjoy it more if you have smaller hands. It's one of the reasons why I haven't bought a P-07 yet. When I look at them in the gun store, I'm like, wow, that's a great gun. And then I hold them like, my pinky kind of dangles on that. I don't like that. The only issue we had was with the ejection. And no, the gun didn't fail. It just happened to bounce off the wall of the stall that we were in the range, and it went down her shirt, and it was hot. So she took a second to have to clear that. And these ejections out of these CZ guns are always strong and healthy. I don't think I've ever had an issue with them, which kind of surprises me because these ejection ports are so small. Yeah, they're very much like the old Browning high powers, and many guns today have enlarged ejection ports to try to prevent any type of malfunction. So this thing has a great ejection, but that's the way it is, as I said, with all other CZ firearms I've shot. So what are my final thoughts on the CZ75 P-01 Omega? Yeah, this is another great firearm. I really enjoy shooting it. It might not be the most accurate for me because of its size. It doesn't really fit in my hand as well as I would like. But from a fit, finish, and function standpoint, it's awesome. It's a CZ. For me personally, I like the larger CZs, like the CZ75 Omega. This thing fits my hand great, but I understand the whole purpose of this gun is to be able to carry it a little bit easy. It's a lot smaller of a package. It's more compact, very much like a Glock 19, and I really think that's what it competes with. It's that compact, well-built carry gun that's not too small where it's a subcompact, but not too big. It has good capacity, good reliability, good heritage. It's a fantastic firearm. It's not my favorite compact because I just don't shoot it as well. It doesn't fit my hands, but it might fit yours great. So from the function of this gun and the accuracy of this gun, I think if it did, it would be amazing for me, but right now it's just okay. But for you, it could be the greatest gun that has ever been created. And I think if you're interested in this gun, I would recommend it, but go to the range first and try one out before buying. But overall, I'm really impressed with it. No issues whatsoever, no hiccups. I put a lot of rounds through this thing. It shot great. It was a lot of fun, and it was reliable, and I wouldn't expect anything else from CZ. So on my star rating, how would I rate, once again, the CZ75 P-01 Omega? Well, this one is only going to get 4 stars. I know some people are going to say, you need to give that thing 5 out of 5. It ran great with no issues, but for me personally, I don't shoot it well because of the ergonomics. Maybe some different grips would help a lot. I find that the double action trigger is a little bit long and a little bit heavy, but besides that, it's really good. So 4 out of 5 stars I think is a really good showing for this gun. I think I like the tactical version just a little bit more because I like having that threaded barrel, and I seem to shoot pistols with suppressor height sights a little bit better as well. But these worked great. I think this is a great concealed carry gun. It's awesome, and I really enjoyed shooting it. So thank you, Jack, for lending it to the channel. So that's my final thoughts, CZ75 P-01. What do you guys think? Do you have any of these compact CZs, a P-01 or a P-07? Do you shoot it well? I would love to know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.